Welcome to episode 5 of La Vida Entre Primas, Life Between Cousins, the podcast where we dive into everything from the ups and downs of love and life to the special bond we share as Latinas and cousins. On today's episode, we have a very special guest, our prima, my hermana, Lisa Cajilles.
Yay!
Woo-woo.
Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
Lisa is a prima, a badass, and honestly, a miracle. We'll find out later on in this episode why. Lisa is the Dean of Student Empowerment at an all-girls Catholic high school. It might get emotional today. There's a lot to unpack, and we're going to talk about something really serious later in the episode.
Yes, so we're so happy that you're here. We're so happy Lisa's here. Fun fact, Lisa is godmother to my oldest child, Sophia, who's 12. And even more funner fact, all of my Aunt Jeannie's kids, so Alma, Lisa, and their brother Michael each of them baptized one of my kids. And so it's a very special bond between all of us here.
And in order.
And in order, yes.
That's
Oldest to
true.
youngest.
Yeah,
That's so
true.
funny. But yes, we're super happy that she's here. Like Alma mentioned, she works with young women all day long, and her job is to empower them and make sure that they're on the right track, and she does an amazing job of that. And I can't wait till my daughter goes to her school and she can help her find her way. So I guess we can start with, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little.
Wait, I think you wanted to start with an icebreaker.
Oh my gosh.
An
I know, like
icebreaker.
people's worst fear. A group text.
Icebreaker.
Just kidding.
A group text. Lisa's
I said
worst
we're gonna
nightmare.
start with someone's worst nightmare. Everyone's worst nightmare. A group text. I'm just kidding. Icebreaker.
That's what I just thought you meant. Like,
No, I'm waiting for an icebreaker.
Okay.
Throw me one. You're a teacher.
oh, shit. I hate being put on the spot like that. Okay, 2 truths and a lie.
Okay, so
Two
I have
tru-
to think of 2 truths and a lie.
Yeah,
Yes.
then you
Okay.
tell the 3.
Okay, and then you have to figure out which is the lie.
Right.
Okay, 2 truths and a lie. Truth. Well, I can't tell you the truth.
Well, no,
I'll just
you
say it.
you have to say all 3 of your facts, and we have to guess which one.
Okay, give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
This is going to be a really good episode. Like Alma shared, it might get a little bit emotional. We kind of prepared for this earlier. We were at, shout out to little Charlie. Welcome to God's loving family, Charlie. We're so happy for you. She was baptized today, so we had the opportunity to get together, and we'll share a little bit later what we're going to talk about, but it really was eye-opening and something that I think we didn't realize was so serious. So
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to it later on in the episode, but also, like, I was so young, and I was kind of upset not upset, but just like when you were like, yeah, I went to the hospital, and I was like,
you didn't get to go ever?
I didn't get to go until they had transferred her to like another hospital nearby.
Huh.
And we're only a year apart, so like, how is that different?
You know what? 12 is usually the cutoff. And you said it was, I guess we're telling the facts here now, but 1996, I turned 12 in 1996, and so, or 95, so.
95.
Yeah, you were probably just missed the cutoff. But
Yeah.
anyway, as you know, you may have already gathered, it's about a hospital stay, and we'll get to that soon. But you got your truths? You got your
I
lie?
can't think of anything.
Okay, it's okay,
I
it's
can't think of
okay.
anything.
It's
I
all
really
good.
can't.
It's
Okay,
she
all
tried.
good, all good.
I was put on the spot.
I know. It's okay, it's
And
okay.
you guys know
You got a fun fact?
pretty well.
I know, we would know what
Yeah,
the
we
truth
would
is.
definitely. Well, we could have done a poll on our Instagram for our listeners. Like,
Like the roller coaster one, like everybody got it.
oh yeah, everybody knew that I'm the
thrill seeker.
thrill seeker, and Stephanie's the.
I am.
No sound effects. I did that myself.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, so
So
tell
a
us.
fun fact about me would
Okay.
be I'm the first granddaughter.
Yes.
I'm the first daughter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm the first niece.
Oh my god,
Oh yeah.
you are.
Because I'm the first female cousin.
You're the first female at everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Ellen and I were kind of battling it out in the previous episode about who's Nana's favorite, and actually we have a photo of all of the cousins sitting on the couch, and Nana has me like under her arm. I'm like, look at how Nana's holding me. I'll have to post it. She's like, but look at who she's looking at, and she is looking lovingly down at Alma. But the reality is, Lisa is the favorite, I think.
Only because she almost died.
Listen, Nana didn't even bat an eye when she nearly burned a hole in the linoleum of her house.
But she did bat an eye. She did bat an eye one time. A couple times.
What was it?
When it was New Year's Eve and Lisa and I were playing games and there was a bowl of grapes on the table.
For good luck.
For good luck. You were supposed to eat them at midnight. Well, it was like 10 o'clock. We were trying to stay up till midnight.
We ate all
the grapes before midnight.
The grapes.
And at like 11:45, Grandma was like, "Go get the grapes!" And we're like, "Oh shoot!
What grapes?
Shoot! Go get the grapes!" And we're like, "Ooh, we ate those already." So yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think that Nana made us feel like we were all her favorites.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Everybody felt like the
I
favorite.
really do feel like she made all of us feel like I'm your favorite.
She did. And you know, we talked about this last episode, Lisa. You probably will have heard it by the time this comes out, but we're talking about Latina guilt. And we kind of like delved into love, like people telling you that you love them. How do you know that they love you? And Alma and I were both saying we knew that our Nana loved us like to death, but Nana never said I love you. I don't think my grandma ever said to me once, I love you. She always said like, cuídate, like her, you know, like take care of yourself, be careful, stay home, like things that, and then the food, right? Like food is our love language.
Yeah.
But she never said, I love you clearly or definitively. And so you're right. And our point was she made us all feel special. She made us all feel loved. She made us all feel like the favorite without actually using those words. So that's a great point that you hit on. But
you're thinking now.
But I kind of think like,
did she tell you?
She never told me, but I just feel like...
Oh, I see Lisa's nose way a little bit. I think she's still there.
I think we may have been her favorites in this room.
Listen, I'm just...
I mean, some...
you said it.
I'm just going to put it out there. I think some of the primos did more than others at certain times in Nana's life. There was some of us that were more constant, and some of us that can only do what they can do at that
100%.
Yeah.
Well, for distance,
I was
for ability.
You and I did stay back.
I'm just saying.
And for Mark's
wedding. We watched Mark's wedding on FaceTime.
I went to Mark's wedding.
I heard it was a really good wedding.
It was so much fun. Shout out to Flagstaff cousins.
Everyone went to Mark's wedding except you and I.
And DIP.
I told Lisa.
And Allison had stayed back as well.
Oh, that's right.
But
that's when Lisa made Grandma a fried egg, and I was like, "Damn, that egg looks good." And she's like, "I YouTube it."
Nana asked me to make her fried egg. I was like, "Hold on!" So I went to the living room.
Thank God for YouTube. Shout out to YouTube.
I YouTubed how to make a fried egg,
and it was great.
There was another story, real quick.
Yeah, we love stories
centered around food. One time, Nana taught me how to make enchiladas.
Oh.
And like Nana's chips had a little bit of sauce.
Tips of her fingers.
Whole form had sauce.
She had enchilada sauce from the tip of her finger up her hand up to her like middle elbow was like.
And then when we were done, I said, "How long do you cook it for?" And she's like,
"They're done."
They're done. You just have to like warm it up. I was like, "Oh, okay."
That was hilarious. She was so mad. But yes, Nana was wonderful. And as you can tell, we all have good stories with her. We all have memorable stories, and all of them are really shaped in love and the feeling of, like we talked about the first or second episode, the warmth of her home.
Right.
Unbeatable. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Moving on to really you. As little or as much as you want to share. I know we shared that you're a Dean of Empowerment, and what is the...
Student Support and Empowerment.
So you spend a lot of your time working with young women, making sure that they feel supported, empowered in their education, in their lives. I know, you're a big part of their life, and I know I run into the youth a lot of time, and they always have great things to say. So aside from the work, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What is your...
Well, let's see. I'm really a homebody. I like to stay home. I like to relax. I like to read. I'm into true crime.
We'll have to do a true crime episode soon.
Yeah. I'm very relaxed, mellow.
I love it. You are the chill peasant for sure.
One thing about Lisa, when she's ready to go, though, she's ready to go.
She's ready to
so
go.
if this episode ends abruptly, y'all
30
know why.
minutes instead of 45.
I am
when she's done, she's done. That's like a grandma trait, I think, though. Like when grandma was done, grandma was done. Like going home.
So I have a good story before we move into
Yeah.
like what we're actually the meat and potatoes of this. I think I shared on one of the earlier episodes that my cousins. So my daughter, we live about 30. My family lives like 30 minutes east of downtown, and then my other cousin who has kids lives a little bit further out. So we're all kind of spread out. But when I was a kid, Lisa and Alma were younger. We spent morning. My mom would take us there in the morning, drop us off at my grandma's house where they lived, and we lived up the street. We'd eat breakfast there usually, and then we'd go to school all day together. And then Aunt Jeannie was the school secretary, so she'd bring us home, and we'd spend the afternoon together until my parents picked us up after work. So we were always together. That's a lot of time to spend together. And a lot of crap went down. I don't want to say the S word. A lot of shiz went down.
I mean, we're at 10:45.
A lot of shit went down. And I was telling my kids the stories. I'm like, you wouldn't even believe like the stuff that we did. It was just like, and one of like the memorable memories is Lisa having the idea. Okay, you remember the old furniture that was like wood furniture? It wasn't like a
like
flat
the coffee
screen
table.
TV. Yes.
Yeah.
Was like lay on her back. Michael, get on my feet so I can like
Play
propel you
Superman.
into the
Play Superman.
Superman. So she propels him, what I think intends to propel him into the air. Instead, she propels him head first into the wood television.
Yeah.
He was concussed.
Didn't we call 911 for that?
Yes,
We called
Loopy had
them.
to come over.
Yeah.
Right?
We called 911.
Yes, because
Romy.
nobody was there.
Romy was so worried about
Romy, are you my
Michael.
friend?
Romy, the neighbor across
Yeah.
the street, was
Yeah.
worried about Michael.
Yeah.
I wanted to run away. I was so sad because like
Because you
I
sent your
knocked
brother
your
to the
brother
hospital.
out.
I mean, it was good times, but
I remember
That
Lisa
was-
also like sucked the
Uh-oh.
helium out of a balloon and
Did you
passed
pass
out.
I did.
stop.
I passed out.
Whenever any of my students like want to get the helium
You're like,
balloons,
no,
I'm like,
stop.
don't do it. I was like, my sister passed out from that. Don't do
It
it.
was in the living room.
The living room.
The original living
But
room.
Nino Cesar was there
Nino
too.
Cesar was
What?
there.
Yeah.
I had it. I just got a balloon, sucked on that helium, and then just bam, fell on the floor. I passed
That is
out.
not what sent her to the hospital.
No.
No,
It's a lot more traumatic than that.
Honestly, oh my
But
god.
yeah, I remember that too. I don't know why. Or
A
you
lot.
breaking your ankle in the
You
backyard.
broke your ankle in the
I broke
backyard?
my ankle playing. We were playing tag.
You're playing
Dude,
tag.
grandma's
Put me in
backyard back in
cast.
the day was
Put
like
me
a
in
freaking.
cast.
Yes.
That
We had
shit
a
was
shed.
that shit
We had
was
a
cracked and
That
like the shed.
The
But like,
shed.
remember
was
the dirt had like crevices in it
Yes.
that was like, I think I can see China from here. Like, that is so deep. The old clothesline.
I miss that
Oh,
house.
yeah.
Me too. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny picture. I'll post it. I found a picture of me and my brother in the back by the stairs.
Oh.
And one of my kids like, is
The cement stairs
Dude.
that had no rails.
just one wood rail.
No, it was
One, I have one.
It had one on one side and it was wood, but it was like janky. Like it was like, like
So
you didn't want to
kids-
hold on to
The
it.
kids see the stairs, that back area where she used to do laundry, the dirt and the freaking clothesline. They're like, is this Mexico? No, that's the back of Pia's house before it got redone.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I know, but it was a really good it was a great childhood.
Oh yeah.
It was a good one. So we're gonna like kind of move on, and we'll talk a little bit about what the meat and potatoes is of today. So Alma said in her intro, Lisa's a miracle, and the reason for that is she had a very, and I'll let you guys jump in at any time. We talked about this at the family party this morning because we actually had this idea of like, oh my God, let's get everybody's perspective of what they remember of Lisa's accident. So Lisa was in a literally life-threatening critical condition car accident in 1995. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what your life was like at that time. I believe you just graduated high school or...
Yeah, so I was in my first year of college over at Marymount College, which was a junior college in Palos Verdes. And I was living in San Pedro at the time. And it was January 29th, 1995. It was Super Bowl Sunday. And me and a group of 3 friends decided to go to Del Amo Mall. And we went to the mall. And coming home, we were about 2 minutes away from the apartment. We got into a car accident. The girl that was driving made a left-hand turn, took the yellow, and then a car came straight and hit me. I was on the passenger.
Front passenger.
And I literally took like the
brunt of it,
the
right?
brunt of it all. This happened about 30 years ago, and to this day, I don't remember the accident, which might be good in hindsight. I do remember waking up in the hospital, and just obviously I was on a gurney, and I looked up and I saw this nurse who was blonde, light skin, had on this bright pink lipstick, and I just kept screaming, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And that's literally like all I remember from the accident. I always say that, yes, I went through a lot of injuries that I can list right now, but I always say that like my family, it was harder on my family because I think they dealt with all of the emotional part of my accident. Mine was all physical, and my emotions came through later, maybe a year later when I was fully recovered. But I think my family, you know, my mom having to listen to prepare for your daughter's funeral. She might die in surgery. She might be paralyzed for the rest of your life. So I can't even imagine what my mom, what my nana, what my whole family went through emotionally while I was, you know, physically recovering from it. So that's my extent. That's all I remember. But pretty much from the neck down, something was wrong with me.
So we talked, like I said, we talked about this a little bit earlier. And so to give some context of first of all, the situation, my Aunt Jeannie is like one of the strongest women I've ever met. So at this time, she's raising 3 kids as a single parent and trying to make things work for her family, and did an amazing job because her kids are amazing. But then like this tragedy comes into play. So we talked about, like, let's talk about the context of the injury. So your vocal cord is severed, right? Your hips or pelvis is like shattered and broken. But the most, and like gashes and cuts, obviously. But the crazy thing is, and if, I don't know if you know anything about human anatomy, her aorta was severed. And that's insanity. That is like, if you Google that, that is like totally a fatal injury. And so everybody went around the table today, since Lisa doesn't really remember the details, to say, like, what do you remember? And it was kind of like the thing of like, where were you when
Everyone
Kennedy died? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'll start with my mom's because it's not very exciting, but my mom's like, I wasn't here. She's like, I was at a conference on the East Coast visiting one of her uncles, rest in peace, Uncle Renee. And she's like, around 8 o'clock, I got a call, and grandma and Nana was like frantic, and everybody was frantic. Something happened to Lisa. We don't really know. And so my mom was like, I just kind of felt powerless. I couldn't do anything. We didn't know the extent of the injury. So she was kind of like, I wasn't there. I came back 3 days later. I couldn't get back sooner. It was just a whole mess. But I know your mom had like an incredible, like...
Oh yeah, we got back because so what happened prior to that, before we had found out about the accident, was we were at Cesad's house for Super Bowl Sunday, and Grandma like didn't eat, and we've talked about how food is like a love language for us, and so Grandma not eating there, like she's, I vividly
all the time,
remember,
no matter what.
Oh, no matter
that's
what.
I was gonna say, like, if you knew my Nana, food was her love language. She loved food, as we all do. They said she wasn't eating.
She wasn't. I remember her sitting in a corner. Like, I have a vivid memory of her sitting in a corner with her arms crossed over her like stomach, and just like.
And mom said that Nana would be like, have you talked to Lisa today?
She would ask questions.
Like
intuition.
She had this like intuition that
and
something was wrong with me.
Driving home, I feel like I might have been sitting in the front in between them, because I think it might have been the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I was sitting in between them because the back was full. I think Pete, Danny, and Allison were with us.
Probably.
And so because the drive was so far, right? So, and Grandma kept looking over at her and was like, something's wrong. Like, something's wrong. Like, I have that vivid memory for myself. Like,
and then when you guys got home, that's when they had the answering machine.
Right. There were a bunch of calls from the hospital, just saying, like, we can't tell you what's wrong with her over the phone, but, like, you need to come to the hospital immediately.
And they took you, because of where you were at the time, to UCLA Torrance Memorial Hospital,
yes,
right?
That's where I was first.
And your brother was living in Cucamonga with
Yes,
our
because he was in high
godfather.
school.
Yes.
So then And then Marsha said today that she was at a friend's house watching the Super Bowl, so Marsha wasn't even with us. So I guess when they got the call, Mom called Pete, or Pete's car was there. I don't know. But then they went with Marty as well, another sister. They went to the hospital, the three of them. Grandma stayed with me, Danny, and Allison. And then Marsha got home from her friends and found out like about the accident.
Right.
And so then that's why Marsha was at the house with us, left behind with us.
Something that's really incredible to me that I remember hearing hearing and thinking like, oh my gosh, that's God, right? Is my Nino and my cousin Michael were living in Ranch Cucamonga, and my Nino said that there was and my cousin Michael said this today too, that there was a police officer and they were behind him, and they had to go from Rancho Cucamonga to Torrance, which is, if you know LA County or San Bernardino County, that is really far, and that the cop ahead of them was like shining his brights and able to change every red light to green. Mm-hmm. So they caught every single green light down baseline all the way to they got from to the freeway. And so yeah, it was just a really scary time. I think I was a little bit too young to understand the gravity. I remember everyone being devastated. One thing that really, really, really like stuck with me is I remember them telling my Aunt Jeannie, just make funeral arrangements. Like this is that serious. Like she's not gonna make it. And so the stories were really interesting. Two of my aunts who are twins were like, we slept on the floor of the hospital. Like we slept there every day.
And I can totally picture this. Marty said that she gave the surgeon like the biggest like hug, like the
in
tightest
her words,
hug.
In her words, she said, "I was the thank you girl." Those were her words. Mark my words. Whoever was sitting around that table today, she said it. She said, "I was the thank you girl."
Yeah. But it was. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like initially they didn't know what was wrong with me. Turned out that I had internal bleeding because of my aorta. They finally figured it out and wheeled me straight into surgery. And like I said, I don't remember bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
I remember my college friends, my high school friends visiting me in the hospital.
Oh, you have to share what your mom shared, because that's going to make me cry. And it really got me about why the doctor had people come, that her visiting hours were 24/7, which is typically, and she was in the ICU,
right,
which is typically not the case.
Very rare.
That the doctor said her visiting hours are 24/7. I don't know if you want to share why. Because she needs to see people to give her the will to live. Mm-hmm. Like she needs to pull through this, and the only way that's going to happen is if she sees people coming and seeing people, give her the strength to live. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, like, skipping 30 years ahead, mm-hmm. I'm gonna cry already, because my daughter, my oldest daughter, is like the light of my life. She's great. She's a little what is that, a little rain cloud, but she's living okay, that's how she is.
She's living her best life. We mentioned her on the pod right
now. Yes,
she's
a sweetheart. But I can't do it alone. Like I feel like I always joke, I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life. The best decision I ever made are the godparents that I picked for my kids. And my daughter adores Lisa, and I can't even imagine a life where you're not there with her. Yeah. And there was an incident recently where I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, as a mom, I don't have every answer, and I'm so emotionally invested. What do? I need somebody who loves her literally as much as I do, but can think more clearly than I can to help with the situation. And so the impact that you've had on her life is like, she wouldn't be who she is without you.
And you know what I was thinking recently, because like I kind of like have battled over the last 30 years, not so much now, but like before, like there's a reason why like God saved me. Like there's a reason, and I could never like figure it out. And just recently, like I felt like, well, maybe that reason was to be Sophia's godmother. Like,
and you're such
I really, because I don't have children, I'm not gonna have children. And so I really feel like that's part of the reason why I was saved, because I just thought I would think about this so often, like, because I should have died. I should have died. Like,
I think that was one of the stories that was shared today with your mom. Steph's mom was saying that, like, she was on the phone with my Nino Jaime and his wife, Anne, who has passed away, our tia Anne, and she was a nurse. And so when my Aunt Terry told her, or told my Nino, like, oh yeah, like her aorta was severed. And yeah, Anne was like, no, it wasn't. Like, there's no way that's possible. Like, she wouldn't be alive right now. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think this is gonna sound really like dramatic, but I promise you it's not dramatic. My daughter has my daughter's great, but she does have, like I said, a lot of struggles with, I don't know, I don't want to put her business out there, but I will say this. If Lisa lived to be her godmother, that's why Sophia's here. Because there have been things where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get past this. What do I do? And I can't get through to her. And she literally told me with the last incident we went through, she said, I feel so bad. Because my Nina made me promise her that I was never going to do this, this, and this. And I kind of already did. She's like, I'll never do it again because I don't want to lie to my Nina. And I don't want her to be sad for me. And I don't want her to be scared. So I'll never do it again. So, I mean, for me, I know that if I die, you know, the godparent thing.
Yeah.
I know that my kids are good. And I know that Sophie will, not everybody understands Sophia. And so I'm just like, I literally have my little list of people I pray for every day, and you're on that list. Thank God so much that you're here for my child and everybody. You're so generous and so kind with your time.
I mean, I thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like twofold, like obviously my main reason I think for God saving me was to be Sophia's godmother, but also too, I've been in education for 28 years of my life, and I love what I do. I love all of my students and being there for them, empowering them, you know, listening to their struggles and being able to help them out. And, you know, the girls come to my office, Miss, do you have snacks today? Yes, I have snacks.
Yeah.
You know, like I love just all of my students and having that like open door policy. So it took me a while, but I finally have figured out you know, why I was saved, because doctors have called me a miracle.
Yeah.
When I tell people my story, or doctors, you know, wait, what? That happened to you? And how are you alive? You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, the severed aorta was the major injury. Once I recovered from that, my pelvis was shattered. So I had to get a metal plate put in with a few screws, and that was in for 1 year, and then I had to get that taken out.
Were you able to walk for that year?
I was able to walk. I started off with a walker.
Okay.
I had to do like physical therapy and kind of relearn how to walk. I have a funny story about Nana. I was at home recovering, couldn't walk, couldn't get out of bed, and some of my friends came over. And we all know how Nana is when it comes to boys. So some of my guy friends came over, and she, if you remember the old house where my mom's room was, she literally put a chair
Stop.
right outside in the hallway.
Did she sit on the chair?
No, the boys like had to sit right outside.
Wait, they couldn't go into the room?
They couldn't go into the room. She put a chair right outside a little hallway, and like my girlfriends could come in. But like the boy, I was like, Nana, I'm
incapacitated. There's 5 people here. First of all, I'm literally incapacitated. My pelvis is broken. I couldn't get it on if I wanted to, Grandma. Come on.
Oh
my
I was
God,
like,
that's
okay,
so
that's
funny.
another vivid memory.
Wow, I didn't realize they had to sit outside. I thought like
I'm not surprised though.
she got there, door has to stay open. Like
the door was open and the kids were
outside. The boys were outside.
The boys were outside.
Oh my God, that's
so then after I was recovering for that, like my mom or people started noticing like, what's wrong with your voice? Your voice is really low. It's different. And initially we thought maybe it was all the intubation, what have you. And then it just wasn't getting back to the
regular strength.
Yeah. Turns out that with the injuries, severed aorta, I also paralyzed my left vocal cord. And so I had to go to an ENT in San Pedro, where they performed surgery on my throat.
Weren't you like the third person that?
Yes, it was very new. It was very new experimental surgery.
Yeah, she has a plastic block in her throat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
I remember you going through that, but I didn't know you were like the second or third
Yeah,
person.
so once like all of I think it took me about a year
Yeah.
physically to recover. And then I started experiencing panic attacks.
So I was going to ask you about that. You mentioned that when you had recovered a year later, that it started to come up. Do you want to share a little bit
I
about
started
that?
experiencing.
You went to college, right? You went off to Notre Dame.
I went back to college.
Mom said a semester earlier.
This was when I was still at home.
Okay.
So maybe 6 months after the accident. I started experiencing panic attacks, and Mom took me twice to Huntington Hospital. They ran every test imaginable. And then the doctor finally was like, you were having a panic attack. And
but I feel like at that time, nobody even knew what that was. Mental health was such a taboo and like so unknown.
Mental health was such a taboo. None of us knew. I was like, what is that? And they explained it to me. And I had a couple panic attacks, some anxiety. And I clearly remember talking to my godfather about, I think I need to go to therapy. I think I need to get put on medication. And he's like, no, you're fine. You don't need to do that. And I was like, okay. I never went to therapy. I did start taking like antidepressants or anxiety medication. And to this day, I can control my panic attacks, but I have been a hypochondriac for the last 30 years since the car accident.
You came very close to death.
Yeah.
When you're faced with your mortality and you've come so close to dying, you realize like, oh, this is temporary. This life is.
Yeah.
I got home the other night and I was eating Taco Bell and I had a pain under my left boob. And I was like, oh my God, Mom, I don't feel good. What if I'm having a heart attack? And she's like, you just ate too fast.
You just ate a grilled cheese burrito, or what is it, a grilled steak burrito?
I was like,
oh, did you have cheesy fiesta
right.
potatoes?
I didn't.
Damn, that's my go-to.
Cheesy fiesta, you know what's really good too? The nacho fries. Have you had the nacho fries?
I've
They're
had the
seasoned
nacho
fries
fries.
dipped in cheese.
I love Taco Bell. I digress. But
we all digress.
I love
we all
Taco Bell. I
digress.
might get it on the way home
So,
after this.
so
you can have a roadie.
I thought about it.
You don't know what?
If you want me to
Going to Taco Bell
DoorDash, you let
after
me know.
this.
Oh.
And you know what? The other night I was talking to Michael on the phone, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Taco Bell." He's like, "Are you getting a roadie?" I was like, "No."
I told you. Did I not say on episode 1? My brother calls it a
but
roadie.
then I think the guy behind me thought I was a drunk driver because I was eating my taco and I was swerving a little bit.
Also, who eats a taco if they're not hard?
When I got home,
it's a
I had
cheeseburger.
all the
Cheese in your cleavage. She had all of the toppings all over her
There's
shirt.
something about Taco Bell that like once it hits your lips, you have to like, you don't eat it like, I know demure is the annoying word, but like demurely, you don't eat it like, you have to shove it back, don't you?
I mean, yeah, but like I've never had a roadie Taco Bell.
What?
I've had like a roadie cheeseburger from like McDonald's, like that I eat at the way home, and then when I get home, or when I used to get home,
easier, but
right? That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying. That's why I've never done a taco roadie because that's
the guy
too
behind
hard.
me switch lanes. He probably thought this girl
She's wasted. Yeah,
She is intoxicated. Yeah, no,
But
I've never done Taco Bell.
No.
So
First time
Go
for
on.
everything.
I know.
So I've been a
So the panic attack,
hypochondriac for the past 30 years. I mean, it comes and goes. So that's just the aftermath of the accident. I have my scars. So, there was 3 instances. One, which I completely blocked this out. A couple years ago, my friend and I were driving through San Pedro because she wanted to take me to the Korean Friendship Bell.
Oh yeah, I've
It's
never
very
been.
beautiful. It's very beautiful. You should
Never
go.
even heard.
And so we're at a stop sign at the intersection of Western and 9th where I got to the accident. And I didn't realize where I was. And I got this weird feeling
Like deja vu.
that came over me. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Western and 9th. I said, this is where I had my car accident. I never went back.
Oh.
I never went back. So that's one. 2, after when I coming home through college, I worked at Nordstrom's at the San Diego Mall.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that I was in the accident with came through Nordstrom's. He obviously recognized me. I haven't seen him since the accident. And I looked at him like I had no idea who he was. I was like, do I know you? Like, I literally said,
Really?
do I know you? And he's like, it's me, Greg. We were in the accident together. We were at Marymount. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
Did you recognize him after? Or
No.
Really?
I completely blocked it out.
I wonder if
Interesting. I
that's like
didn't
a brain
realize that.
injury though too. I wonder if it's like, I mean, it's obviously like your brain like protecting you, your mind and but I wonder if it's also like an actual injury.
And then a third time, I was up at Notre Dame at college,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a panic attack, a very severe panic attack where I've lost complete control. And I just saw myself in a car that was like turning.
So you get a flashback.
That was my
Oh, wow.
one and only time.
How long after the accident was that?
3 years, maybe?
Probably about 3.
Because I graduated in 2000 from college, so 3 years.
Yeah.
So there's like, those are the 3 instances. And even today, Nino was like, you should get hypnotized. You should
Like, why would you?
But there's obviously a
would you want
reason
to?
why my brain
Yeah.
is protecting me,
Blocking it out.
blocking me from.
Would you ever get
remembering it.
hypnotized though to try to figure it out?
No, I think I'd be too scared. Sometimes if I see accidents, I won't look.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, I was with one of my friends. I was on the 210 freeway in an accident. Her car got hit, and we spun across the freeway. And surprisingly,
February, wasn't it?
It was another Super Bowl Sunday weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Surprisingly, I was calm. I called 911. My friend was freaking out.
Right.
I said, we're okay. There was no flashback of my original accident. But yeah, I mean,
Damn.
that's my
That's
story.
a lot. Well, I will tell
And
you. Go ahead.
I feel like even though it's been 30 years, I still, because I didn't remember much, I still don't fully comprehend the severity.
And I feel like
Of what
today
I went
when we were
through.
talking about it, because we talked about this beforehand, obviously we planned a little, and I was like, oh my gosh, are you gonna get emotional? She's like, no, I'll be good. And then when we went around the table and everybody was saying like, I was here, I rushed home, I was terrified, we were sick, we were like, oh my gosh, I was here, I didn't know it was. Then it became real, like, oh my god, was a big deal.
That's
Yeah.
why I always say that my family, it was worse on my family than me. Even though I had the heart surgery and all these other surgeries, physically I recovered, I'm fine, but my family went through all the emotional.
Dude, I was only 11 and I was so pissed because mom wasn't home. There was something I didn't say this when I was there, but mom wasn't home and I was a cheerleader at the time, and I had a cheer something to go to, and we had to have our permission slip signed and under our teacher's door by like 8 a.m. and I was like, who's gonna sign my paper? My mom can't sign my paper. I'm not gonna be able to go to this.
Well, I'm
Fuck,
sure
Marsha
ended
ended up signing
but
it, I
also
think.
too, like mom probably had all of her attention on me.
Oh,
Yes.
100%, yeah.
Michael was living with Nino,
Dude,
and
the
so
other
you
thing I'll never forget
were like alone.
is when grandpa and grandma came to visit you. They this sounds so bad. But they came from like a trip from like Japan or somewhere, and they brought like Michael all these cool things, and they obviously moved their flight and stuff to come back to LA to see Lisa before they went back to where they lived. They brought me chopsticks from Chinatown, Los Angeles.
Listen.
And then I was like
Listen, let me
angry.
just say
And they're
this.
like, oh yeah. I was like, oh thanks. And
Listen.
then I thought it was like,
Did it say Chinatown, LA?
I think so. And then, no, they straight up told me like, oh yeah, it's from the restaurant we went to last night. I have a vivid memory of
I
that
feel like
too.
that's petty. In the end, they made it right. Let's just go. Let's just.
No, I know. I'm just saying though.
He made up for
They all did. They both did.
chopsticks.
Look at.
Male air.
But I'm just saying, like at that point in time, I was like, cool.
Wow.
Wow, thanks.
Wow, Grandpa.
I could go to Chinatown.
I could have
I'm
gotten
sorry.
that
I
myself.
digress. I'm sorry. But those are
It's
two
okay.
things that I remember.
Okay, so so after, just wrap it up. The worst, I mean, I can't even explain. There's no words to say how happy we are that you're still here. And so the accident was a big part. You then go on to Notre Dame de Namur, right? Up north, graduate from there, come back, you're teaching, and then go on to Loyola Marymount?
Yes,
To get your master's,
got
right?
my master's from LMU, and I taught elementary school for 13 years.
5th grade?
5th grade,
Wow,
I was
bless
a
you.
vice principal. I felt that at the 13th year, I either had to become the principal or move on somewhere else because there was really no more growth for me there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I did apply for the principal position, which in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't get it.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because then that brought me to where I'm at
Yeah.
working today.
And such
Yeah.
a fit.
Such
Such
a
a
fit.
fit.
Such a fit.
I think also a testament to the value your life has brought to other people's lives is I heard two things. One, I remember Andrea Ramos saying like, I wanted to be a speech therapist and be a teacher because of you. A family friend would come over and my Aunt Jeannie would watch them and she's like, I would see you teach, and she taught at the school that we went to. And so that was one. And then the incident recently where someone said, I had bullies, really bad bullies in high school, and said, and Lisa stood up for me and was able to like help me make it through. Like that's important. Those little, they seem little in the moment, but they're really, really big.
You know, I think the lesson in all this is to, and I know it's going to sound so cliche, but don't take life for granted.
No.
Don't take life for granted. I mean, I always, when I hear of, my accident, or you hear things on the news, or you hear things, at school, people wake up. People get ready for their day. They kiss their loved ones. They talk to their siblings on their way to school, or to work. And then
they wake up their siblings when they don't have to go to work.
Sorry. You never know what can happen that day.
Yeah.
And look at me. I was 30 years ago just going to the mall with my friends. And we were in a horrible accident.
And obviously, the person who was driving your car was not drinking because you guys were at the mall.
No.
Being Super Bowl
Alcohol
Sunday.
was not involved?
No,
I'm just saying.
Not even the other driver?
I don't know about the other driver, but my
came
friend
out.
at the time that was driving, it was her fault because
She made it. Yeah.
she took the yellow. But no, the no alcohol involved. Just
Bad, wrong place, wrong time.
4 young adults that didn't want to watch the Super Bowl. They went to the mall and their life changed.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're so
Always
glad.
wear your seatbelt
Oh.
because I was not wearing my seatbelt at the time of the accident. Maybe that saved me. Maybe it didn't. I'm not sure. We'll never know. But always wear your seatbelt. Never take life for granted. Those are my lessons.
I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came on today. One question I have for you.
Yes.
How long did you last working at McDonald's?
So my very first job, I worked at McDonald's in Lincoln Heights. I lasted a total of 2 weeks, 1 paycheck. They had me working the morning shift, like 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning.
5 in the morning, cutting lemons, it wasn't my vibe.
Lemon.
Wearing the horrible uniform, so I lasted 2 weeks at McDonald's.
Dang.
That was my very first job.
Other question is, McDonald's, what did you used to tell people when they would ask you about the scar on your neck? Because you did have that surgery to revise your vocal cords.
I
And if
did.
I remember you telling somebody, I had a crazy boyfriend, he came after me.
Did I say
Oh my
that?
gosh.
Yes. And you're like, I'm just so tired of people asking me what happened to my throat. So I
I
made up the
know,
story.
I probably said
You
that.
probably
I have a
did.
vague-
She probably
my
did. boyfriend got
I have a
crazy.
vague memory, but no domestic violence
No.
here. Just a joke.
And the last is, if you don't want to talk about it, we can skip over it. But can you tell us about the accident you had? Was it London?
Oh yeah, when you studied abroad.
Okay. So,
Because that was a family buzz too. I don't think we
was.
had cell phones at the time, but if we did, there would have been text message going
We
on.
didn't even have cell phones because we had a London number, landline.
So it was, I believe it was 1996. It was a year after my car accident. I felt that I just had to get away.
Yeah.
And so I applied to this study abroad program through my school and I got it. I went to London for, I feel like it was a semester, 6 months. We lived in a park. The college was in a park. It was Regent's Park. And it was a very...
What school was it?
I don't remember. It was a school in London, right in the city. It was in Regent's Park. It was the very first night. The drinking age, of course, over there was 18 at the time, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So,
Was alcohol involved in this story?
Alcohol was severely involved.
Severely.
So we went out. We all got shit-faced. And because it was our first night, we hadn't had orientation yet. So we did not know that there is, after it's a park, so everything's closed.
Right.
But after a certain time, there's one gate in, one gate out. We didn't know that. So here we are.
A bunch of Americans, drunk Americans, decided to hop the fence. How high was this fence?
One, I've never hopped a fence in my life.
I mean, same.
Two, at that time, 30 years ago, I was chubby. And three, I was drunk. And the fence was high. So
But it wasn't any ordinary fence, right? It had
I
like...
had the spikes.
It had the
I
spikes.
had the spikes.
Like the pointy.
So there I go. I got it.
I could do anything when I'm drinking,
Think-
honestly.
Thinking about it right now
Does you cringe?
gives me...
Oh, you
my
could have
stomach
gotten
drops.
impaled.
Wait, were you the first one who jumped over?
No.
Okay.
But I remember jumping over and I lost my... I don't even know what happened so fast. I lost my footing and I freaking just hopped off. And then I start walking and then I feel a breeze going up my ass. And I'm like, what the heck? So I put my hand, I like feel behind my leg, and I bring it up, and my hand is covered in blood. Then I tell a stranger, because I don't know who these people are, I said, hey, did I cut myself? They're like, you need to go to the emergency room right now. So then I go to the emergency room, and the first thing I thought was, oh shit, mom's gonna be so mad at me.
Right.
Mom's gonna kill me. Then I found out that medical's free in Europe, so I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to pay for anything. They saw me. They're like, okay, you need stitches. They stitched me up.
Was it your leg?
It was my leg.
The back of your leg.
The back of my leg. What I thought was odd was that it was like 20 stitches, and the guy was like, come back in 5 days. And I'm like, till I get the stitches out? I was like, this
They're
doesn't
cooked in
this
5
doesn't
days.
even compute. But
Yeah,
okay.
stitches are like a week.
So
No.
I remember the next night,
Stitches take like a week to come out.
Uncle Jaime was in town.
Right.
Wow, what a
in London.
coincidence.
What a coincidence. The next night we met up. He took me to dinner. Wonderful dinner. I came back home.
Don't even tell me.
And the stitches had reopened.
Oh my
So I had to go
God.
back to emergency room, and this time they were like, okay, come back in like 2 weeks. Like, just let it,
Right.
give a little bit more time. So then the very next day they had orientation, and they're like, as a reminder, like they called me out without mentioning my name.
They
But
made a rule for
They were
you.
like, please do not hop the fence.
Oh.
After 10:30, there's this
You
gate
can't go into this gate.
that you
There
can
was an
enter.
open gate.
There was an open gate.
Yes.
There was an open gate.
Stop it, Lisa.
Yeah. So
They
that
just
was
didn't
my-
know because it was their first day there.
That's amazing.
That was my story.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was my story of
That's a great
the
story.
first night in London, and then the next day I called mom
Right.
and I told her what happened, and she was not happy with me.
She was not
She
happy.
was not happy with me. But hey,
Here you are.
I mean,
here I am.
severed aorta, 20 stitches in the back of your leg. Piece of cake.
I'm good.
You're
You're
good.
good.
I'm
You're
good.
like, this is nothing.
I'm good.
Well, I feel like this has been amazing. I'm so glad you came.
Yeah.
This brings us kind of to the end of the. If
Yeah.
there's anything, actually, let me ask you one last question. If you had advice for, if you, hold on, collect your thoughts, come back.
Yeah.
If someone is going through a traumatic situation or an accident or something that they feel like they can't overcome, whether it's emotionally or mentally or physically, what advice would you give them to help kind of push them along, help them heal?
always seek help. There's help, there's resources. Always seek help, talk to someone. Don't, sometimes as much as we may want to, we need help, and it's okay to ask for help. Sometimes we can't go through things by ourselves, even though I know many people go through things by themselves and don't open up to others, but always ask for help, always get help. There's so many resources out there. So that would be my advice.
Don't suffer in silence.
Don't suffer in silence. Seek help.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming. We're so grateful.
And
that
it's
you're here.
okay. It's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to be on any type of medication that you deem fit for yourself. Don't be embarrassed. Go get help.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being
thank
with
you
us
for,
today.
And thank you for being so candid. I know that you're a private person. I know that you are a little, it's a little nerve-wracking to talk.
I was a little nervous, but thank you to my Prima and my sister for making
She almost said cousin.
I know.
Thank you to my Prima and cousin.
for making me feel comfortable.
You were great. This was so wonderful, and I don't think that we couldn't tell your story without you. And so we're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that you recognize how valuable and important and you are to this family. Not just me, not just Soph, but everyone. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is like, everybody needs this kind of reminder that like, we need you. The world needs you, and the world is a better place. I think if you add up all of the kids, girls' lives that you've touched, I mean.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of our cousins have gone through something, but I feel like, I don't think that any cousin has gone through something as serious
As close to death?
as what I went
No,
through.
never.
No.
So, and I hope none of my cousins ever go through something as serious as this.
Yeah.
No way. No way.
But thank you, I appreciate it. Sorry if I sounded nervous.
You did.
No, you did. I mean, I don't think so. We haven't heard it, but I don't think so. Also, thanks for being our first guest.
Yay!
Yes, our first guest.
Our first guest.
So
Thank
yes,
you.
we're gonna have a lot of other great people on here, from business owners to family members, people who have, educators, all kinds of folks on here, family members who have been in bands and done great things. So we hope that you'll come back. We hope that you'll continue listening, and don't forget to subscribe to La Vida Entre Primas, Life Between Cousins, so you never miss an episode. We will be back next week with our next episode. Episode 6, Teacher Drama.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm here with 2 teachers. I'm not a teacher, but please keep an eye out. We're going to be posting on our social media. We want your craziest, cringiest, good, bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly stories of being a teacher.
Can I give a little preview of some stories you might hear?
Heck
Yeah.
yes.
So when I was teaching in elementary school, 5th grade, there's always one kid that is your cross to bear,
Yeah.
that you will remember for the rest of your life.
100%.
And my kid was Anthony. And I feel that Anthony woke up every day and said, how can I make Ms. Cahigas' life a little horrible today? How can I do that?
I have a couple of those students.
So there was one time where Anthony, during recess, found a lizard,
Stop.
hid the lizard. If you remember the desk from OLG, they were like
Yeah.
these janky desks.
Yeah.
Hid the lizard inside of his desk,
Stop.
and he waited till he called me over to help him with math.
Stop, you're
No,
lying.
I'm not
No.
lying.
That's
I'm
calculated.
not lying.
Wait.
And he waited until I was by his desk, and he let that fucking lizard out. And I jumped and ran
Stop.
so fast.
For reals?
For reals, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. And I know what happened to Anthony. I'm not going to call him out right now, but I
Where?
know.
No, you gotta. Where's Anthony?
No.
Anthony is. He
I'm
dropped,
locked up. Don't have me.
he dropped out of high school.
Oh, Anthony.
No, I know. And I don't think his life,
Took a turn.
his life took a turn.
Oh,
Yes.
Anthony.
But I will never.
That's
Forget
crazy.
it.
You know what that reminds me of? Like, you know the scene from Matilda where they get the gecko and they put it in the
Ah,
pool
it's
of
not a
water?
gecko, it's a newt.
The newt. I'm sorry.
It's a
I know.
newt.
That's wild. I
love
love
it.
that
So I'm
teaser.
sure you'll be hearing more
Yes.
stories.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want.
That's what we're looking
Thank
for.
you so much. That's so funny. And we're going to be praying for Anthony because,
Yes,
you
for
know,
Anthony.
every student I know touches your guys' heart in different ways.
Oh, yes.
So come back next week. Don't forget to subscribe. And until then, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And thank you so much for listening. And we will see you in the next episode of La Vida Entre Primas, Life Between Cousins.